I didn't see what he was yelling at. I didn't see the ambulance coming, but I remembered him yelling. That was the last thing I heard from him.
Just being in heaven, I guess you know your own, or you know who everyone is.
There's more to our world than meets the eye, and Landon Whitley's story proves it. This young boy didn't just brush with death once, but 3 times, and each time he came back with a chilling message from Jesus himself. Landon isn't alone. 2 other children and a young man have also returned from the brink with similar experiences. What did they see, and why did they have to die to receive this message? Stay with us as we uncover the terrifying truth they were sent to share. Landon Whitley was just 8 years old when his life took a dramatic turn. 3 times over, one Sunday in 1997, as he and his parents, Julie and Andy, drove home from church, their lives were shattered. An ambulance collided with their car, killing Andy instantly. Rescuers, unaware Landon was in the wreckage, only found him after spotting his shoe. They pulled him from the twisted metal, lifeless, but they fought to bring him back. Landon died twice more that day, yet each time the doctors managed to revive him. Though his survival was a miracle, the prognosis was grim. Landon would likely be left with severe brain damage if he lived at all. Julie, overwhelmed with grief after losing her husband, clung to her faith, praying relentlessly for her son's recovery. For 2 agonizing weeks, Landon lay in a coma, showing no signs of improvement. Then, as if by a miracle, his eyes opened. The doctors were stunned. Landon had no brain damage and was going to be okay. But Julie had the heartbreaking task of telling Landon about his father's death. When she asked if he knew where his dad was, Landon's response left her speechless. He had seen his father in heaven. Landon described his time in heaven with clarity, recalling not just his dad, but also 2 children. Julie was stunned. She had never told Landon about her 2 miscarriages before he was born. Now this was a memory that most of us can only dream of, a memory from heaven. He recalls seeing 2 children who he knew, without being told, were his siblings. Though no one had ever spoken to him about them, in heaven, Landon just knew who they were and that they belonged to him. Landon's time in heaven wasn't just a one-time event. It happened 3 times, each after he died and was brought back to life. But it was during the 3rd visit that something truly extraordinary occurred. Landon met Jesus. Jesus gave Landon a message that was as terrifying as it was important. He had to go back to earth and live as a good Christian. Landon was also tasked with spreading the word about Jesus' existence and sharing the reality of heaven with others. For Landon, it was like getting a glimpse of a larger story, knowing that he had a purpose to fulfill. Years later, in 2019, Landon and his mother Julie began sharing their incredible story with others who were struggling with grief and loss. Through a program called Grief Share, they offered hope and support to those in need. Julie reflected on the tragedy that took her husband's life in 1997, realizing that even though she didn't understand why God didn't save him, she now believes that angels were there, protecting her and Landon. They see themselves as living out God's plan, helping others to do the same. Landon's message is clear. Jesus is real. Heaven is real, and angels are real. He urges people to follow Jesus' teachings and trust in the Bible, assuring them that life will improve in the end. His experiences have given him a unique perspective on life, one that he passionately shares with others. Julie even wrote a book titled Faith Has Its Reasons, where she shares how their difficult experiences have been used by God to bring others closer to Him. She feels incredibly blessed to see Landon spreading the word about Jesus, knowing it's because of his personal connection with Him. Landon's journey hasn't been easy. His body was badly injured in the accident, requiring metal plates in his head, a rebuilt nose from a piece of his skull, and the loss of sight in one eye. Yet despite these challenges, Landon is living a mostly normal life, driven by his mission to share his story and tell others about Jesus. Landon's faith is unwavering, and he's determined to let everyone know that Jesus, angels, and heaven are all real. He is living proof of God's love and grace, and through his story, he hopes to inspire others to hold on to their faith as well. Landon isn't the only child who has claimed to have died and met Jesus. Zach Clemens, a high school football player, faced a life-threatening ordeal that led him to a divine encounter. One day, during PE class, Zach suddenly collapsed. His heart had stopped beating. For 20 minutes, Zach was clinically dead. As his mother raced to his side, Zach was airlifted to a children's hospital. Just when the medical team was about to declare his time of death, a miracle occurred. A faint pulse was detected. Zach eventually woke up and shared his remarkable experience of seeing Jesus during those minutes he was without oxygen. Despite the gravity of the situation, Zach's sense of humor and unshakable faith helped him through his ordeal, and now he shares his testimony with the world. But Zach's story isn't the only one. Young Mia also encountered Jesus during a near-fatal accident. In October 2010, Mia and her family were enjoying a hiking trip in Ohio's Wayne National Forest when tragedy struck. A large tree branch snapped and fell 60 feet, striking Mia on the head. Her mother, Melissa, found Mia lifeless, her skull crushed, and prayed desperately for her daughter's survival. With no sign of life, Melissa clung to her faith, remembering the story of a woman healed by touching Jesus' robe. She prayed over and over, asking God to heal Mia. As Mike, Mia's father, searched frantically for cell service to call 911, the situation seemed hopeless, but Melissa's faith never wavered. She believed in the power of Jesus and continued to pray for a miracle. First responders finally arrived, rushing Mia to the hospital, where doctors confirmed she had suffered a traumatic brain injury, a fractured skull, and brain bleeding. Mia was placed in a medically induced coma, and the prognosis was grim. However, the next morning, when Mia was brought out of her coma, she miraculously responded by grabbing her diaper, signaling that she was still with them. Over the next few days, Mia overcame the paralysis on her left side and underwent surgery to repair her skull. Astonishingly, she regained all cognitive functions, and her vibrant personality remained unchanged. Mia's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Months later, Mia revealed to her dad that she had a dream about Jesus, who had brought her home. Mike and Melissa were convinced that God had healed their daughter and felt profoundly grateful for the miracle they had witnessed. Mia's full recovery was a testament to the power of faith, and her family knew that they owed everything to God. At 19, Bobby Sosa started as a police officer in New Jersey, where he quickly became familiar with the darker side of life. The pain only deepened when his grandmother, the woman who raised him, passed away, leaving him angry and resentful toward God. As Bobby transitioned into a career in finance, he left behind 12 years of service, carrying the weight of his losses. His wife was a devout Christian, but Bobby couldn't connect with her faith. That's it for today's video. What's your take on all this? Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to dive deeper into more fascinating content.